Hello, Stampers! I've got a fun project for you today. This is Michelle Zindorf. Thanks for joining me. I have this little scene here, and the main thing I wanted to show you today is how to take these prairie grasses from the prairie grass stamp set and make them look frosty. So you can put them in your winter scenes. It's just a lot of fun to have something in the foreground. Here's the prairie grass stamp set. Beautiful stamp set. I've used this I don't know how many times since I've gotten it. Quite a few actually. So you can look in the videos and just see all kinds of projects for it. And then I'm also using the Woodland scenery stamp set. This is a brand new stamp set. So we'll be using this cabin here. So we're going to get going today. We're going to start with our main panel, of course. We're going to go step by step through it as usual. And all the dimensions for this card you can find down below this video. Just click more under the description. You'll see them there, along with the links to all the products that I'm using today. That'll take you directly to my online store where you can pick those up. So our first panel here that we're going to be using, this is basic white, and it's 3.5 by 5. And we're going to need some Versamark here to start out. So we're going to stamp our grasses first. And we're going to stamp them with Versamark, and then we're going to heat emboss them with clear embossing powder. And that will protect that white of the paper. So our when we put color over our embossed image, then it won't cover it up. It'll actually show up white. So I'm going to start just by loading my stamp with Versamark. I love this big bold image that you have to work with. And there's these grasses right here. And I'm not going to put the whole image on because I wanted to be able to put that cabin up there in the top. So I have like 1 inch of my stamp that is not on the cardstock. Just going to hold it there a second, get a nice image. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm just going to bring in some clear embossing powder. I know it's going to be hard to see what I'm doing here, just because everything's clear and white, but you'll be able to see it when you go to do yours. I'm just putting some powder on. This is clear embossing powder. I just keep mine in a tub. It's easier to use that way, I think. Then I'm just going to brush any excess off that I have. If you have an embossing buddy, you could use that before you do this. I find it just as easy to kind of go around the outside of my image, just to make sure that I have no big clumps hanging around. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I better put the lid on it. Otherwise, I may knock it over, and that would not be fun to clean up, I don't think. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to heat emboss this image. I'm just going to bring in my heat tool here, and I'm just going to heat it just until it turns shiny. And you want to do this kind of under a bright light to where you can see it turn, because you don't want to overheat this. Otherwise, it might sink into the paper, and then you won't have the embossed effect that you want. So just keep that in mind as you're heating it up. There we go. Mine's heating now. Takes a minute for that heat tool to heat up. I see it's getting shiny. Watch your fingers because it does get hot. And I think I have it. I'll give a look here. There we go. So we have that done. So now we heat emboss it. It's going to protect that paper. So I love this technique because you don't have to worry. Oh, I missed a spot. It felt kind of gritty. That feels better. Sometimes you can feel afterwards, and if you missed a spot, you can go back and put more powder on if you need to, but I was able just to heat it up. Okay, so now that we have that heat embossed, we don't have to worry about our image taking on the color that we're going to put over top of it. And we're going to need a paper towel, so I got a piece of paper towel here. We're done with our Versa marker. Okay, so we have that. Now I just need a mask. And I'm going to tear a mask. Now I have 3x5" Post-it note here. And I'm just going to take the edge. This is the sticky part. I don't want to tear all the sticky off of it. Just a very fine edge of it. I'm just going to come out, come down a bit, and go back up, and that fine edge again. Because I have two hills here, I'm able to move this back and forth, and that gives me different hills shapes for my scene. So we're going to use it first by coming up here. Oh, we're going to do a little more than half. Kind of just have that top sprig hanging out there. I think I'm going to come over here. Kind of have my hill dipped here and then coming up. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to bring in some Highland Heather, beautiful color, and a blending brush. And I'm just going to put that Highland Heather here over my sky area. See how that's popping out now? So there's my Highland Heather on there. You can take your paper towel, you can kind of wipe it off. And next I'm going to go darker, and I'm going to go to Misty Moonlight. I'm going to get my blue blending brush out here. And I'm going to add some of this Misty Moonlight, and I'm kind of using the tip of my brush here. I want kind of a swirly sky here. I don't want it just to be all Misty Moonlight or all Highland Heather. I want it kind of mixed together so it's kind of multi-looking. So I'm just using a circular motion. There we go. I'm trying to get a little night sky going. There we have that. I'm going to use my paper towel again. Wipe that off. Okay. So now I'm going to take this Post-it note. I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to move it over. We have a different little shape here to our little snowbank. So we're done with this Misty Moonlight for now. We're going to go back to our Highland Heather for all of our snow. So this is our snow now. So when I put some color on here, I'm going to put color on. I'm going to use a circular motion. And I'm going to bring that color up just until that I get close to that edge of the top of the snowbank here. Leave a little white there. Just like that. And that little white is going to distinguish where each hill is. So there is that. So now I think I'm going to do one more hill here. Just come down a little bit. And this time I have this kind of more in the center. So I'm going to do that same thing. Highland Heather. See how that image is really starting to pop out here. Again, I left a little of that white showing at the top of my hill. Okay, so we're done with this Post-it note. We have this area here. I'm going to do that same thing. Highland Heather, just coming up to the edge of that hill. There we go. So now we have our 3 hills. I'm going to take this paper towel. I'm just going to lightly wipe off that embossed image. That pretty much brings it back to white. It might be a little stained. What you don't want to do, you do not want to scrub this image, because if you do that, you're going to scrub that embossing powder off and it's going to start looking really pretty bad. So make sure you don't do that. You're just lightly wiping that ink off of the top of the surface there. Okay, so we have that going on. So to bring these little frosty stems out, you can leave them all white. I decided to take a pecan pie Stampin' Blend marker, and I'm using the fine tip of this. And this I'm just going to very lightly go along some of these stems. And when you do that, it looks like just the tips are kind of frosty and not the stem. And it also brings them more forward in your scene. So it looks like the little tassel-y ends to these are more frosty than the stems. You can leave some of the stems white, but I think that's pretty. Oh, I'm sorry if you hear my kitty. I might have to go open the door for her. She's getting upset. She hears her mommy talking and she thinks she's missing out on a conversation. Okay, I'm back. I had to let Willow out. We were going to get nothing done. So now we have our stems colored. We're going to work on putting a moon up here in the sky. Now I'm going to take a Post-it note here. And I'm going to take a 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And I'm going to punch it out of the center of this paper here. And I'm going to use the negative space here for this. Now you can do your moon any size you want to. It's entirely up to you. So I use the 1 3/4, but you use what you have. And I'm going to put a moon right up here in the corner. So I'm adding that here. I'm going to grab out my Highland Heather again. And my blending brush. And I'm just going to put Highland Heather around the edge of this moon shape in here. I'm leaving the center blue. There we go. And just make sure you don't go off your Post-it note. So then you remove that. You have the edge of that circle and it looks like a moon up there in your sky. Okay, so there's that. We're just coming right along here. Now we need a cabin for our scene. So I just have a scrap piece of paper here. I have my little cabin. And this cabin, of course, came out of the Woodland scenery set. This has such good images in it. So we're going to be using the cabin, and we're going to use this little smoke stamp. So I'm going to grab my Early Espresso. I think it looks cute stamping it in Early Espresso. And I'm just going to stamp it on my little scrap of paper. I have a Stampin' Blend marker, and this time it's Dark Daffodil Delight. I'm just going to color in this window. I think it looks cute when you have light in there, like somebody's at home, right? So I'm just going to cut this out. And I've used this cabin before, and I found that it makes such a cute roof if you leave some white around it, and then it looks like it's got snow on top of it. So I didn't cut my cabin out clear to the roof. I left some. Oh, get down. I left some of the snow on the roof here by leaving some of that white around it. Easy to do. You just don't cut it clear down to the roof image. Just cut along it. I don't worry about those little lines at the bottom of the cabin either. Those are getting cut off. There's my little cabin image. So easy to cut out. So I'm going to add this in here, just like that. So I'm going to glue it, and I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm just going to glue this on. Willow's deciding she's going to make an appearance here. Let me grab her and put her down. There we go. That kitty, she just wants to help. That's for sure. Okay, so I got my cabin glued on there. Now we're going to add our little smoke stamp. And I think I'm going to stamp this just in this Highland Heather. Now it's going to look light, but we just really need it as an outline for our image. So I'm going to stamp this on coming out of the chimney. There we go, got our smoke coming up. But I want to make it a little lighter. So I'm going to bring in my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Now you can certainly do this step with a white gel pen if that's what you prefer. I like this Bleed Proof White because it stays white. If you use a white gel pen, it may take on the background colors and end up looking more blue. So I'm just kind of adding this inside these swirls. I have a number 0 paintbrush here. Here we go. We got our little smoke coming up. Now this paintbrush, since this is watercolor, it just needs to be rinsed out with water when I'm finished. And I tell you, you buy a little jar of this and it's going to last you forever. You don't have to worry about it drying up like your white gel pens. If it does start to look dry, you just add a little water to it. So there is our little smoke coming out of our chimney. Cute, right? It stands right out there. Now we need some shadows going on. So I'm bringing in, this is the dark Highland Heather Stampin' Blend marker. I'm going to use the brush end here, and I'm going to make like a triangle underneath my little cabin here. Just like that. Kind of a little squiggly shadow there. Before you put this up, you can just take this end of your marker here and you can make a little bit of story going on here, like you got some little footprints going on coming off of your side of your card there into your scene, like they've went into your cabin. I like using little footprints in the snow. So there is our scene in a nutshell. How about that? I think it turned out really pretty. And I love the way that plant here in front looks so frosty. Now you could have used the deer or the bear up here too. You can also do this, use this plant. I wouldn't do it frosty, but you could use this plant, same scene, only you could have these hills be like rolling green hills. You just use 2 different colors of green here instead of the white and the purple. But there is our scene. Now, you could put a little sentiment in here if you wanted to. I'm leaving mine blank for now, and I'm going to start putting my card together. So for the inside of my card, I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch white panel. And I'm just going to add this on the inside of my card. I don't know what I want sentiment-wise for this yet. I could probably use this as a winter birthday. Thinking of you, thank you, you know, a few possibilities here. So I'm just going to center this up in here and then stamp something when I know what I'm going to use this for. That's generally how I do it. And then I'll make a few of these and keep them in my stash and use them as I need them. So I have a 4-inch white panel here. It's square. And by the way, this is Misty Moonlight, and it's 5.5 by 8.5 inch. So it's folded in half to create my quarter card. And I'm going to add this square here in the middle of my card. There we go. And then I'm going to add my panel over it. This actually comes together pretty quickly, let you know what you're doing. My time usually is invested in just creating the scene first. It takes me a few minutes to figure out what I want to do that way. But once I know where I'm heading, it goes pretty quick. Okay, so that square, we have a little bit of the white hanging out here. And I just want to take my dark Highland Heather Stampin' Blend marker again. And I'm going to use the fine tip. And I'm going to make some dots here on these edges. So I'm going to start up here at the top and make a dot. Bottom, make a dot. I'm going to just eyeball the center of that, and then I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my dots. I don't sweat that they're not exactly the same distance apart. I just do it generally. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Dot, dot, one in the middle of that one, and then the centers on each one. There we go. And there's our little decoration on the sides. I think that's cute. So there is our project for today. I hope you enjoyed this project and that you give it a try. It's a lot of fun. And this frosted plant here can be used for so many different winter scenes. So don't forget to put some foliage in your foregrounds. So thank you for joining me. Take care. Doodles.